Hey Scorpios, welcome back to my channel. Today we finally are doing your 2025 horoscope. Of course, something to keep in mind is this is general. If you want your personalized consultation, this is officially your last moment to book it, because again, we will discuss some of the main transits for you in the year 2025. Some of them will really apply, but some of them might not apply, and the only way you know what actually is happening for you, of course, is based on your individual chart. You do need to know your time of birth for it, place of birth, hopefully you know it, and essentially let's get started, you guys. 2025 is going to be an exciting year. There's a lot to discuss, and essentially, yeah, let's get going. I got a little bit sidetracked because there was a neighbor of mine who just complimented my white dress, saying that I look like an angel, a Wednesday angel, so I'm a little bit, flattered, but yeah, I guess it's a good note, a good omen to be starting your video. So if you like this videos, as always, make sure you subscribe. We're almost at 100k, and help us, give this video a big thumbs up, join the Patreon, join the membership, and anyway, you guys, let's get started. So the most important and the first transit of 2025 for you as a Scorpio is, of course, Mars retrograde that we already talked about in the sign of Cancerian and Leo. I made a separate video about that specific transit. Make sure you check it out. It's on this channel too. And yes, Mars retrograde is a big deal for you because it is your ancient ruling planet. It's also the retrograde that, goes from your 10th to your 9th house. We're starting 2025 with this 9th house Mars retrograde. Mars will turn direct and then also re-ingress Leo in the sign of April. The whole transit is going to be done like around June. And for you, of course, it is important because, well, first of all, 10th house is the most visible part of your chart. It's your career, it's your social status, it's your relationship with people who are somehow in a position of more authority or power than you. And 9th house represents anything that has to do with legal matters, with travel, with immigration, education, your philosophy, your kind of like the way you see and perceive the world, your spiritual even connection to your higher self is partially seen from the 9th house as well. And of course, when Mars spends so much time in that area of your chart, it does show me that yes, maybe there are some elements of those areas in your life that you want to restructure. Maybe you're not 100% happy where you are with your career. That's, a lot of us. Maybe you are realizing that, it's time for you to really step up. Maybe there is even some influences that are kind of feel like they are a bit of against you. One of the defining aspects of this Mars retrograde is, of course, its opposition to Pluto. We had an opposition of Mars in Cancer to Pluto last degree. The last moment it was in Capricorn, and now there is this active opposition of Mars in Leo, also with Pluto freshly ingressed in Aquarius. So it's like, yeah, you might feel like you want to have that breakthrough, you want to go to this next level, but there is all these influences, whether visible or hidden with Pluto, could be that almost feel like they stand in the way. You're like, why am I still not in that place where I want to be in life? All of that could be coming up right now. And again, this is for you, I guess, to partially re-examine your own beliefs, any kind of legal matters, any kind of maybe with education, something needs to be improved a little bit. Maybe you need to go back to school, just for some of you, obviously, or need to put better contracts in place, or re-examine your own beliefs about something in order to make that jump that you want in your 10th house. Again, what I would suggest, and this is note to self as well as a Scorpio rising, what I would advise against is to not go into ideological battles with people. We all, when it comes to, I was born with Mars in the 9th house, believe it or not. When it comes to things like religion, politics, and just in general beliefs, sometimes, I don't know why, I do feel like I have to go in some kind of battle, and I try to stop myself, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, Mars in the 9th house, from somebody who was born with this placement, Mars in the 9th house can sometimes it's just like when it gets activated, when you start going into this, a holy war battle for your beliefs and for what you believe is true and right, you don't always understand that you're even doing it. It's something I noticed within myself. Like when I started especially getting into this arguments, battles over politics, over spiritual beliefs, the problem with Mars is that sometimes it doesn't even see any other perspective. It knows what it believes in, and it goes for it, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes not so much. So try to avoid any unnecessary conflicts and tensions. It could even be tensions legally, but of course for some of you it's probably not going to go as far when defending or going fighting that fight with your beliefs. It's going to be tough likely, but you're going to avoid a lot of energy loss and a lot of issues if you just know when to take a chill pill, essentially. Mars will re-enter your 10th house in April and it's going to stay there until sometime in June. So essentially, yes, I do feel like improvement of your social status, career, going to that next level, rebranding yourself as that superstar. For some of you, it might quite literally apply, will help. Like it will work, but it's again, it's knowing when to take a step back and when to focus on the battle internally, where maybe you yourself are fighting your old self, your old beliefs, your old limiting beliefs, and studying more, learning more things, elevating yourself, that you can really show up as this brand new version of yourself and take more. Yes, maybe for you it's about time you start receiving the very well-deserved accolades, maybe that were delayed to you in life, the triumph that you wanted, that you feel like it's long overdue. Yes, you will get there, but again, try to not make more enemies along the ways. Could be a challenge for Scorpio sometimes. And the card that I'm channeling, I know it's not a tarot reading, but the card that comes to mind is Six of Wands. And as you guys know, Six of Wands is the card of triumph, is the card of victory, well-deserved victory after a time of fight. With Five of Wands, right, in tarot, Six of Wands is when you are that chosen one. Yes, you made it. Yeah, there is this parade, so to say, for your victory. Yes, you will get there. Now, going back to 2025 other transit, of course, we're also going to have the last eclipse in the sign of Aries, end of March, in your 6th house. So, of course, for a lot of Scorpios, this is about health. This is about work. There might have been changes with health and with work in the past, year and a half or so, since 2023 summer. This is when the nodes were there, and the first eclipse was, of course, even before that. So for a lot of you, there's been changes with your day-to-day routine, workout regimens, work, quite literally. I'm a Scorpio rising. For me, this manifested as first time in my life I don't want to even say fitness baddie, because we are far from that, living where I live. And not to even say that I want to be a fitness baddie, it's just peer pressure where I live to work out you cannot even understand. But it's a good peer pressure. It's not like people around me are doing something unhealthy or bad. But yeah, I became much more into fitness. I started doing yoga regularly again. I even started running occasionally. I became much more physically active. I normally am a little bit of a couch potato. I never really had to exercise super hard. Usually I just walk a lot or whatever. But this was the time where I felt like this is time to exercise. So for me, it manifested like that. For you, of course, it could be something absolutely different. Also with work, there might have been more you might have had to work more and not necessarily make more money. And that was, I think, probably the more annoying part of this transit. With South Node in 12th house, you wanted to chill out. But with North Node in Aries in the 6th, you might have felt like you have to work more, maybe more than typically so. But at the same time, it is likely that this kind of transit has taught you a lot about yourself, what you really want to do work-wise and not in who you are. Maybe you even started appreciating yourself more. For me personally, this manifested as knowing how hard I have to work sometimes, that I cannot tolerate any kind of relationship, South Node in the 12th house, right, that is not contributing to me in my life. So if there is some kind of person not physically present in my life, not contributing to my life, why in the hell should I be even spending my time longing for them or thinking about them? Sometimes you have to work, and when you have to work, it's not necessarily something you enjoy doing. And in these moments, you really, I think, start appreciating yourself more. That's at least how it manifested for me. And you really start cutting, off those people in your life who are just a liability and who don't bring you anything good. Because again, if you were not there for me when I had to work so hard and when I was alone, what's even the point of having you in my life and considering you as some kind of soulmate or love? No. Yeah, no thanks. On a positive level, this transit have taught you possibly a lot about yourself. Again, reconnecting with your body, work responsibilities. Some of you might have unfortunately accumulated more debt. Hopefully that's only for a few of you, if not, maybe not for nobody. South Node in the 12th house in the sign of Libra has really pushed you to let go of toxic connections, toxic beliefs about love, like all of those people who long for unavailable people, or who, are embracing relationships that not for their highest good. If there is any limiting beliefs or unhealthy toxic beliefs about relationships or people who are just draining you of your light and of your energy and not contributing you anything good, anything positive into your life, and you're just there longing for somebody and this person is not there, or this person is bringing you toxicity. A lot of you, chances are, there might have been painful realization when it comes to this, because Chiron was opposing all of that. It was painful, it was not pleasant, but finally you let go. For a lot of you, finally you let go, finally you chose yourself, and maybe even some hardships that you had either with your health or with your job during this time only pushed you more into this. I know for me it's true because, again, with my work, things were kind of, I don't want to say they were bad, but I definitely had to, like, even with YouTube, like, it was not just easy year for me when North Node was in the 6th house. I had to take on a lot more clients than I prefer, because, you have to pay your bills, and like when YouTube, let's just say, doesn't make as much money, this is where I have to open more seats for clients. I have to work more, longer hours with clients. So when I was working as hard as I was working, and in that moment, it really gave me more of that radical self-love, where I realized that, if somebody is not contributing to my life or not making my life easier and only makes my life harder, they don't have, there is no place for them in my life. And it helped me, I think, to let go of some of those toxic beliefs, as much as I was angry sometimes, but I think it was very valuable experience at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, I am, believe it or not, grateful for it. Now, everything culminates, of course, the reason why I am kind of like reflecting on that, everything culminates with this final eclipse in Aries. And now we are going to have North Node entering Pisces, your 5th house, South Node entering Virgo, your 11th house, which I love it for you, Scorpios, because this is now for you. Like, for you, this is finally time to celebrate, to have more fun, to enjoy yourself. Neptune's been in your 5th house since 2012. It brought you, yes, a lot of opportunities for fun and love, but also rose-colored glasses sometimes, where maybe people took advantage of you or you didn't see people clearly. Then Saturn entered that area of your life in 2023, and essentially they were maybe like this shattered reality, those rose-colored glasses that you were wearing since 2012, longing for those soulmates, twin flames, they were broken at that time. Definitely with Saturn and Pisces in your 5th house, there might have been this like harsh reality that had to kick in. I know for sure I resonate with that, where you realize that it's like there needs to be certain structure when it comes to your life, to your love life, and you cannot just dream about that soulmate or like entertain against certain type of connections which are not, which essentially are not real, right? And Saturn and Pisces, again, it might have been through some painful dating experience, or children could literally be a part of that. You might have realized maybe for yourself that you want to have children. That's why you cannot entertain any kind of person who wastes your time. Or maybe somebody had a child and you essentially don't want to be with anybody who has any children, and you realize that for you it's a personal boundary. It's something that is a deal breaker, no matter what kind of connection you feel to a person. Again, there are so many specific scenarios we can look at. I've witnessed in life of my clients, friends, and my own life, but essentially, yeah, I feel like your rose-colored glasses were broken, and for a while you became a bit more jaded. For a while, I feel like you might have become more jaded. Maybe you even lost your faith in love. Life was not as sunshine as butterflies. Saturn in the 5th house definitely can be a bit of a doomer vibe, where like nothing is fun anymore. Like everything sucks. Like, remember there was that scene in Sex and the City, and I mean, I don't even like Sex and the City that much anymore, but back in the day when I was watching this, remember that scene where they went to Yankee game, I think, or whatever, and Samantha was like, this hot dog sucks, this game sucks, this seat sucks, everything sucks. That's like your Saturn in the 5th house. Like Samantha in that scene where they are eating hot dog and their seats essentially are not as bougie as they are used to. So yeah, that's the way to sum it up. But the good news is that North Node is going in the 5th house. And literally when North Node goes in the 5th house, this is like all you need to do is to have a good time. You become creative again. You start focusing on children or on love, dating. Everything becomes more fun again. And it's very optimistic because also we have Saturn leaving that area of your chart. Not for entire time, but it is going to be ingressing Aries. So it's like you're going to catch a break finally. You're going to feel like life is becoming fun again. And for you, this is all about truly focusing on what brings you joy. For some of you, you forgot what it's like to have fun, what it's like to enjoy life. North Node in the sign of Pisces in your 5th house will push you to that again. It will also help you to remove maybe goals of your list which are not really making you happy anymore. Sometimes we want something at one point of our life, but then it's no longer relevant. It's not what we want anymore, and it's okay. I feel like with South Node and Virgo transit in your 11th house, you will remove obligations, goals, maybe even ideas about what your life needs to look like off your list, something that's been making you feel only restricted. Maybe you've been too hard on yourself. Maybe those goals, those dreams are not even yours, but somebody like told you that yes, this is what it takes to be successful in society, all that kind of stuff. It could also be that like if you've been surrounded with people who want nothing but constantly criticizing you, putting you down. South Node in Virgo in 11th house very much could bring you this kind of people and environments, people who just constantly criticizing you, people who are never happy with no matter what you do for them. I feel like this is going to be a very nice spring cleaning where, you know, again, if I didn't ask you for your fucking constructive criticism, you better not give it to me, because constructive criticism is only constructive when I actually asked you for it and you gave it to me. Otherwise, you know, there's all these people who are trying to disguise, they're trying to put you down and humble you under the disguise of this constructive criticism. And again, if you didn't ask for it, it's not constructive. It's just somebody trying to manipulate you. This is at least, again, how I see it. Again, you know, me being on social media, being on YouTube, with everybody trying to give me their 5 cents. And, you know, ironically, like I have Virgo placements too. So it's like, again, yeah, you're going to be cleansing your environment from many people who just nitpicking you, constantly pushing you down, constantly trying to restrict you, are constantly critical, never happy, never see the light at the end of the tunnel, always complain, always issues, always problem, always small thinking, small ideas. And like you're just going to be down with it. You're going to focus on what brings you joy and happiness. And as you're removing all of this from your life, you're going to start feeling more happy again, ironically. So there is that. We talked about eclipses, we talked about Mars, we talked about the last eclipse in the 6th. Now let's talk about Saturn and Neptune entering your 6th house. This is, of course, a very major transit because Saturn takes 2.5 years to go through one sign, takes 28 years approximately to finish the cycle, and Neptune hasn't been in the sign of Aries since the 19th century. Of course, this is a very big deal. For you, 6th house, of course, you know, this is the area that was previously activated for you with North Node in the sign of Aries, so of course, pay attention to what happened when North Node was in Aries in your 6th. Saturn and Neptune now is, and Neptune, by the way, is entering there first. So Neptune, let me give you exact date. So Neptune is entering there, it's staying there from March to October, and then Saturn enters Aries from May to August. They will both go back to Pisces, but this is going to be the initial ingress at the time where, of course, we have this final Aries eclipse, and we also have Venus retrograde in Aries to Pisces, that, you know, that whole axis from March to April, right in the midpoint between these two ingresses. So I think it's very interesting that those particular areas are activated for you at the same time. And of course, you know, 6th house is the house, once again, of fitness, work, health. Again, it's typically not bringing any new issues, but if you've been having issues, this is where, of course, you will be very concentrated in that area of your life. Now, again, I don't practice medical astrology. Medical astrology is very specific. You need to actually, I think, have medical understanding to practice, and the medical astrology is a separate branch. So I don't think, again, like, I don't want to say there will be or not will be issues. Of course, I wish you all to be healthy, but what Saturn will do, in my view, is that if there's any issues, it will help you to create structure, plan to resolve these issues. I think with Saturn and Aries, it is mainly for a lot of people things related to your own identity, the way you think, you know, nervous system. Of course, pay extra attention to that. Saturn and Aries, you know, Aries rules head and also nervous system, how you think quite literally. And, you know, our mind is powerful and is important for our overall well-being. And I think what it's likely going to do is that, yes, it will bring you changes in your work environment, changes in your day-to-day, maybe because of some even unexpected event. For some of you, who knows, you get knocked up, for example. Yeah, and there you go, essentially, Neptune in the 6th, Saturn in the 6th, trying to make structure of an area of your life where now feels like no structure. But I think also for a lot of you, it's mainly, again, I see like more contrary to popular belief, I see 6th house less of a house of general health, but more as a house of day-to-day, and also the work you put into your health, such as fitness, your routines, even nutrition partially, like all the work that you create, you know, to stay in a good shape or to overcome any issues, if God forbid you have any. So I see 6th house less of a house of like health. It's kind of tricky, you know. I don't want to go too much into detail. I don't cover medical astrology anyway, so it would not even make any sense to try and explain this. But it's also 6th house is definitely house of your day-to-day and your work. So with Neptune in the 6th, maybe there's going to be some change. You enter a new field, maybe you become more creative, and Saturn will try to make you essentially Saturn essentially will make you have certain routines, certain structure to make sure that everything is not just all over the place. You have to actually, even if you are starting something more spiritual as your path of work for whatever reason, or like something more creative, Saturn will make sure you have structure there, right? So you're not just dreaming about it, but you're doing something. Again, how that particular transit will play out, because it's such a major transit, will really depend for your chart, because this is where we really need to look at like what is actually the sixth house cuspis, what degree it's in, what's the condition of sixth house lord, what specific aspects is it going to be making or not making to your individual planets or to the ruler of that house. So this is like, I'm saying very, very general things, which of course this is why your individual chart is so important, because we need to see what is the actual condition of sixth house, what planets are activating it, and whether this particular transit actually is making positive, not positive, challenging, right, aspects to the rulers or to the specific points of your chart. Okay. Also, of course, there is going to be Venus retrograde that's going to start in the 6th, going to go in the 5th, starts in Aries, goes back all the way to 5th. So this is, also another big deal. Again, 6th house, 5th house are being activated. So for you, of course, Venus is the ruler of the 7th and also of the 12th. Venus retrogrades that starts in the 6th. I don't know, there could be some situations. Again, it's a big activation of 6th house in general, so work is very, very important for you in the year 2025, making changes that you need when it comes to work. Maybe for some of you, because 6 is the 12th from the 7th, this could be about dissolution of a partnerships, with a partnership which felt like now it's bringing you nothing, but only like somehow more debts in your life or more issues, more liabilities. So if you are in a relationship that you want to terminate, this could be potentially one of the moments. Again, I don't want to say this is going to happen there, but when you could consider that, because whenever the 6th house is activated by Venus, especially because Venus is the ruler of your 7th, being a Scorpio, this again, this whole 12th from the 7th could come into play. Is there something that you need perhaps to end? Again, if it's been a relationship, a connection that's been nothing but draining, this could be the end of that. Now Venus will go back retrograde into your 5th, so some of you might terminate a long-term relationship and start dating again. Again, there's so many ways how this could play out, but I do think this Venus retrograde in the 6th and the 5th could be significant for you, given that it's happening right in the midpoint between Saturn and Neptune ingress into Aries, into your 6th house. I also think for a lot of you, maybe there is a change in work that's happening, because again, you are going back from you're going away, you're moving away from all of this kind of like needing to be busy, just work, to kind of like now considering more what actually makes you happy, what actually brings you joy, what brings maybe your creativity more to the surface. There will be decisions that I feel like you will be making kind of along those lines, so to say. So we talked about Mars retrograde, we talked about last eclipse, we talked about eclipses shifting to 5th and 11th axis, we talked a little bit even about Saturn and Neptune entering your 6th, and also your Venus retrograde in 6th and 5th. Now let's talk about Jupiter a little bit, because again, this is one of the significant transits. Jupiter cycle is 12 years. It takes about a year to go from one sign to another, and for you, the first 5 months of 2025 is of course going to be of Jupiter still in the 8th house of shared resources, of any kind of deep healing, of your deep connections with other people, of occult spirituality, restructuring maybe of your shared investments and finances. And for the first 5 months of the year 2025, you still have an opportunity to improve essentially any matters related to the 8th house. Now we just had, I'm recording this right before Christmas, we just had the full moon, right, in the sign of Gemini. This is the only full moon we have in the sign of Gemini, because again, full moon happens once. Full moon in Gemini is once every 12 months, but with Jupiter, this kind of specific configuration is, again, unique. Next year, we're going to have full moon, but Jupiter will be in Cancer, so it will be a different configuration. So because we are still post this full moon with Jupiter that we just had, which I made a separate video for, make sure you look it up. It's like, essentially, I think there is something about making 6-month plan. You can see it in the thumbnail. Essentially, opportunities for you to still improve your life in that area for the next 5-6 months are illuminated right around this full moon. So use this time to, again, maybe if you're not of course, like some of you maybe are actively investing or doing something with your finances. I don't give recommendations about that, but maybe Jupiter in the 8th house could also manifest about you learning how you can increase your finances. And 8th house rules all the things that connect to investments, that connect to research. But you can use this time for maybe learning, researching things, again, because 8th house rules 8th house rules a lot of different things. Again, how it's playing out in your individual chart will depend upon your individual chart. chart. But essentially, even if you're not doing something actively with that particular area of your life, you could be learning a lot about this, because again, something that's very interesting about the specific transit is that Jupiter will finish its journey in your 8th house right around June, but this is when Uranus is going to enter that area of your chart in July. So it's like, you know, right now, maybe even the time when you are not actively doing something, but you are preparing, perhaps, maybe you're learning. And when Uranus goes into your 8th house, and it's going to be a very extensive transit too, because Uranus is a slower moving planet, maybe this is when you will actually be making, so to say, moves in that particular area of your chart, in that particular area of your life. Now, Jupiter will enter your 9th house in the month of June. So this is different opportunities. Of course, Jupiter in Cancer is also in trine to Scorpio. It's another water sign. So for a lot of you, when Jupiter enters 9th house, usually we feel like our faith is renewed on some level, like we have more faith in the world. We see, so to say, the brighter side of things, which might have been tough for a lot of people recently. But with Jupiter in the 9th, you might start kind of like feeling aligned with your purpose again. Maybe you will even get a sense of like you have this new purpose you found. Maybe you're starting to study something new. Maybe you discovered a new spiritual discipline. Could be. I remember last time actually when Jupiter was in my 9th house, this was when I started practicing yoga, and it was like it made such a huge difference in my life. I started traveling a lot. Like yeah, it was last time I remember this was a pretty amazing transit. Let's see what happens you know, this time around, so to say. Jupiter should bring you opportunities for spiritual learning, for travel perhaps as well. If there is anything with education, like I don't know, maybe you're applying to go to school, maybe you're going back to school, going for master's, PhD, maybe you're graduating now. So it's like Jupiter in the 9th could also bring some like some essentially kind of like some culminations, maybe even related to that. But it definitely always blesses one with opportunities for travel, for spiritual learning, finding that guru. 9th house is the house of guru, so you might find some teaching or teacher that you will really resonate with, and that will make you feel more connected, so to say, to what's happening in your own life, what's happening in the world, and give you that feeling of bigger purpose. It should be a good transit, I think. Like again, remembering for me last time it was happening, I think I graduated right around that time, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember all my chronology, so to say, of my life events. But yeah, it was a good transit. So yes, good luck with that. And what else do we want to say? Yes, Uranus enters your 8th house, like I just mentioned. Again, this is going to be an interesting one. We had Uranus in Taurus, right, since approximately, I want to say 2017-ish, something like that. It ingressed, I think it re-ingressed, and then it fully ingressed in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it 2016, 2017? Again, yes, it was a long transit, and for a lot of you, it did help you, I think, to let go of maybe previous ideas about what partnerships should look like. But at the same time, it brought you a lot of unpredictability when it comes to relationships. You know, a lot of you guys might have, I have clients who literally gotten married, gotten divorced, married somebody else, or met this person they thought was like the love of their life, and then like the whole relationship, you know, falling apart when they least expected. Or like there was with Uranus in the 7th house, it brings you a lot of like unpredictability, and when you are trying to control things, it kind of like, it could be kind of hard, I guess. But I feel like it definitely brought you some exciting relationships and exciting partnerships, you know, like a lot of learning maybe in the area of relationships. And now it's going to be done there. So I guess you can take a deep breath, I guess. Now it's going to enter your 8th house. So again, we'll be making a separate video for Uranus in Gemini because it's a major transit. But yes, again, anything that has to do with investments, with shared resources, expect a big change in that area of your life. Of course, it will depend whether you have planets in the 8th house or not. Me as a Scorpio rising with like a stellium in the 8th house, you know, pray for me, I guess. But I think it's going to be a good transit, partially because it's also your ruling planet, right? Your modern ruling planet, Pluto, is in Aquarius, and it is going to be making, Pluto in Aquarius is going to be making a trine to Uranus in Gemini. So from 4th and 8th house axis, having a trine could bring you even things like, maybe you didn't even know, like you had some kind of inheritance, you know, that like you were not even aware, but like you have great-grandparent who left you something. It's possible, not out of the question. Of course, maybe that is like a bit of a crazy example, but again, with Uranus, that's the nature. You might have not even expected for something to happen, but it will happen. Now, of course, what is more likely, typical scenario, because Pluto is in the 4th, which again deals with like ancestors, family, property. Again, family is a big part of that, and anything that has to do with land or home, you know. And 8th house is connected with shared resources, and it is connected with maybe people who passed away, or people who, I don't know, like maybe even your spouse's family. There is some kind of, with this trine, again, it's not dramatic, but it's more of like flowing energy where you know, maybe you will receive a gift, like somebody gives you a very nice, important gift, like you're getting married, whatever, like it's, and you have a baby and you guys buy a house together. Things like this could happen. So yeah, I think overall that should bring you some very interesting and nice opportunities. And again, of course, a lot of these things will depend on your individual chart. I'm just here kind of giving you more general trends. Pluto in Aquarius, that's it. It's not going to be regressing into Capricorn. It's going to be there till 2044, if I'm not mistaken. So for you, an area of transformation and concentration in the year 2025 will remain your roots, you know, family, property, the very foundation of your life. 4th house is typically associated with IC, which is the lowest point of your chart. So, you know, it's like for a lot of you, you are changing like from the very foundation of who you are. For a lot of you, because you are starting a family, could be, if you're not at this age, it could be there's big changes that are happening in your family. Something that I noticed I started doing since this transit began is that I started becoming much more interested in my family history, kind of like my very roots, and started connecting with that too, interestingly enough, like with all this like ancestors and, you know, lineage of the family type of stuff. Definitely one of the more interesting transits, but yeah, I guess, you know, I could keep going here forever, but these are some of the most important things you guys need to know. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I wish you amazing 2025. Of course, again, you know, if you if you want to see how it specifically affects you, I do recommend your 2025 personalized reading. You can book that in the links down below. Still, I wish you amazing 2025 year. I hope all your dreams come true and you find, so to say, what you're looking for with Jupiter in the 9th house transit. Very likely it is actually gonna happen now, because you're lucky and blessed. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. We're almost at 100k, so yes, let's go. You can also support me on Patreon and on the memberships of this channel. I love you all very much. Happy New Year. We'll talk soon. Bye.